So I was at Target yesterday and I got this futon, right? I got this futon to take home. And I brought a car. Like my car is not a truck, and it couldn't fit like a bed, or you wouldn't think it would fit like a futon or something. It's a big size sedan, but it's not a truck, right? And the trunk is pretty big, but it's not the biggest kind of trunk in the world. As I was bringing this futon out of Target, uh, it, both the lady who wheeled it on this like cart thing, and then the guy who checked out at customer service, because it was right by the door instead of checking out at a regular register, said to me, "This is not going to fit your car." They both explicitly were like, "Do you have a truck? If you don't have a truck, it's not going to fit. So you're going to have to find another way. Go get a truck or figure out a way. Otherwise, like we're going to have a hard time getting this in any other vehicle." And I went there with the intention of getting the futon and just being like, no matter what, I'm going to get the futon and bring it home. It doesn't matter what I got to do. Like, I'm going there, I'm leaving myself no other option, and I'm going to get the futon and bring it home. So we bring the futon, I pay for the futon, we bring it out to my car, and I always keep that in. And in fact, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in the trunk. It doesn't fit in the back seat. We can't even get it into the back seat. We can't even get it in the back seat. Like the passenger seat is in the way, the console's in the way, all the stuff is in the way. The girl's on the other side trying to like bring it in and shimmy it in. I'm on one side like, all right, well, let me move the seat up and see if that works, right? We're just trying all this stuff. None of it works. It doesn't fit. So we take it out of the box and try to fit it in, and none of it works. They both sit there and say, it's not going to fit. There's nothing you can do. You're going to have to get a truck. So, like, you could leave it here. We'll leave it at customer service. You can get a truck and come back, and that'll be that. I said to them, I'm going to fit it. I'm going to figure it out. So if you guys, like, you got to go back to work, then that's fine. Go back to work. Let me figure it out. And they're like, okay, like, you're not going to fit it, but all right, good luck with that. So they go back to work and do the thing, and I pull the car over to the parking lot, because we were out front of Target, and I pull the car over to the parking lot with the thing basically hanging out of my trunk. At that point, like, it's like halfway in the trunk. It's not secured. I couldn't even situate a bungee cord or string around it to make it in a way that I felt comfortable driving home with it, without the concern that it's going to fall out of the back while I'm driving. So that was just a no-go. But then I changed the structure of it, because it like folded and did a bunch of things. It was like a futon that was almost fully assembled, just folded in a way. It was like it came all together in like one tight package. It was interesting. The bolts and some of the legs and some of the support beams were kind of embedded into it. There was like a little zip thing within the futon that those things were in there. So it was kind of like one package, but I unfolded it a little bit. Took my seats down. Took my back seats down. My back seats have latches on the top, and you can put the back seats down. And then, with a little shimming in, a little pushing in like 7 minutes, I got it in there. I got it in the vehicle completely. It was super tight, but I got it in there, and then shut the trunk and shut the doors, and I was good. And then I drove home with it, and took it out, and brought it up to my apartment, and that was that. And I started thinking about this, like, I think about these kind of things all the time. Like, I'm constantly conscious of the differentiation factor between entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs, or people who just tend to really do well in life, and folks who don't. If you see me doing this, I don't have OCD, contrary to popular belief. I'm just looking at the cameras at my repair center here. And so I take it home, and I think about this thing like, those two people and most other people, like, that aren't entrepreneurs, that's their psychology. Their psychology is, you can't do it. You can't do it. They do so much of that stuff where they look at things that could be done, and they just mentally fail. Mentally, they're just like, they fail before they've even done anything. They fail before they've even done it. And they don't have much of a capacity to try things until you get outcomes. The one thing about entrepreneurs, like, besides everything else, besides eating well, sleeping well, understanding the biology of effective entrepreneurship and brain performance, the thing this one differentiating factor is, like, we just make a decision that something's going to happen, and that's fucking it, man. That's it. That's it. Because there's no failure option. There's no like scenario that crosses the mind of an entrepreneur that goes, well, oh, like, what's plan B if it doesn't work? Or what if it doesn't work? Like, it doesn't exist. It just goes, thing, I have an outcome, I'm going to do the thing, and that's it. There doesn't have to be anything else. There really doesn't have to be much of anything else. Now, like, with that said, there will be situations where you have to change that outcome, and we have to realize, like, maybe it isn't possible or something. But what I am saying is that to the extent that things are possible, you should keep trying. And most things that folks end up kind of in this position where they think that it isn't possible, it actually is possible. But what it's going to take is probably that extra 50 or so percent of trying and thinking and finagling and using your brain a little bit and talking to people and influencing people and changing markets and changing people's brains and changing your brain to make something happen. And that extra kind of 50%, which is like, it's like you have to try 110, 120%, where a normal person would stop at, like, I don't know, 50 or 60. You got to try 110. And then there may be an additional 50 kind of percent that 50 to 70% that you need to push thereafter. And that's what actually gets you the outcomes. You know, this achieving lots of things kind of thing is actually really hard, right? It actually takes much more, like such a higher magnitude of pushing things through multiple levels of trying to the point that you actually reach outcomes. It's ridiculously hard. That's why entrepreneurs are always taxed out all the time, right? You know, like energy-wise and otherwise. And so I talk about breaks frequently and have to take a lot of them and sleep 9 hours a night, you know, and sometimes sleep during the day and meditate all the time because it's taxing. But the only way to get outcomes is to be that taxed, is to shoot that extra 110, you know, to 20% in the beginning and then 50% overall. Is to look at outcomes and go like I'm just going to do this thing. That's it. That's it. And recognize that, you know, people who aren't entrepreneurs and people who don't have track records of achievement oftentimes just look at things and go, yeah, it's not going to work. And, you know, that's a failing psychology. Tweet it!